We're halfway through 2025 and AI has been going absolutely crazy. In case you missed it, video and image generation has gotten significantly better, and videos of animals performing Olympic events are flooding social media. Audio capabilities have gotten good enough for Timbaland to sign the first AI pop artist. LLMs have gotten so good that it's replacing human workers in various positions, but some companies are realizing that that may have been a mistake and are reversing those decisions. And Microsoft revealed that Indian software engineers were behind Builder.ai the whole time. But what does all this mean for solo game development? What's up, good people? I go by Shinobi, and I'm a hobbyist game dev in Unreal. This channel exists to show what I'm learning as I go. And lately, I've been interested in the impact AI has had on solo game dev. So in this video, we're exploring the current state of AI in solo game dev, and that includes how it's being used and its reception. And as always, if you found some great ways to implement AI in your solo game dev journey, please leave a comment because I really want to hear about it. Now, I was genuinely stunned by the amount of ways AI is being implemented. So first we're going to cover how it's being used, and then we'll look at how it's being received. The first one we're going to hit is probably the most obvious, and that's visual asset creation. I, like most solo game devs, have a terrible habit of overscoping. So I'm often faced with the reality that to build worlds that I want, it takes a ton of assets. When I'm feeling ambitious, I may spend hours trying to kit bash what I need, but that gets expensive quickly, and it takes a long time. So a lot of these ideas end up on my list of games to make when I can afford to hire people to make that game. And this is a common situation to be in, but it's where AI gets appealing. Now, generally speaking, AI is viewed as a force multiplier, meaning it allows one person to accomplish more work faster. So ideally, the magnitude of assets needed to be made becomes much more manageable, and the world you want to build feels much more attainable. There are already a handful of AI tools specifically for game dev that assist in asset creation. This includes things like art, character models, landscapes, and set pieces. Solo game devs are leveraging these tools to create prototypes, brainstorm concept art, generate textures, and in some cases, in-game assets. Now, of course, the drawbacks here have a lot to do with copyright infringement, which just is. This is an oversimplification of how AI works, but it functions by training on some pool of data. Sometimes works are included in that data pool without consent from the original creator. But so far, this has gone largely unregulated and probably won't be anytime soon. So while there may not be any legal ramifications for the use of AI, you still have to deal with public opinion on these things. And the point of this video isn't to debate the ethics of AI. That is a conversation that has been had many times in many places. However, it's important to know that a lot of your audience considers AI art infringement, and using it to produce finalized game assets will turn people away. But there's also plenty of people that just won't care. Who knows what the downstream effects of all this will be when regulation does happen. So if you're considering using purely AI generated content in a game, you just gotta count the cost. Then there's audio asset creation, and it's pretty similar to visual asset creation in terms of being able to reduce the cost needed to generate something that's serviceable. I was truly surprised to hear it being used for voice actor. Maybe because the only AI voice I think of is the dumb AI on TikTok that doesn't inflect emotion well. Either way, there's a handful of AI tools that will generate acceptable audio if prompted enough. The benefits of audio asset creation are largely the same as visual asset creation. It's cheaper, it's faster, it's more accessible to the person that doesn't know much about it. The drawbacks are also largely the same. It's copyright infringement. I should mention that AI voices still have a long way to go. Even people that use them admit that they kind of feel soulless sometimes, and they don't inflect very well. However, there is one area where soullessness doesn't matter as much. That's code generation. So this is where I have the most experience with LLMs. Generally, as we develop software, there's a lot of repetitive tasks required to get things running, and we call this boilerplate. LLMs have become great at generating boilerplate code, which can be a huge time saver. They're also great at assisting with debugging, and they have become my default search engine. All this amounts to much faster prototyping and more time to focus on other parts of the game development process. However, there are a few pitfalls that come with this. AI generated code has quality and maintainability issues and requires oversight to ensure it's functioning properly. The way I put it is AI reduces the amount of stuff you have to do, but it doesn't necessarily reduce the amount that you have to know, especially if you're looking to create a well-tuned, functional product. Another category is narrative design and world building. This includes things like brainstorming ideas, outlining quests, and creating lore. It's helping developers overcome writer blocks or people who just straight up don't know how to write. AI serves as a great rubber duck to bounce ideas off of. Now, the difficulties here include narrative coherence. LLMs have a context window, meaning there's a finite number of stuff that they can remember about a particular task. When that window runs out, they tend to forget stuff. LLMs also hallucinate, sometimes a lot. This can result in generic or cliched plots because AI isn't generating anything new or unique yet. So a lot of stories just sound like rehashed versions of other stories. And people also complain about AI generating characters that lack soul. So while AI isn't great at narrative design yet, I actually think the work around animation and motion is really cool. AI tools are allowing people who don't have skills or equipment needed for motion cap to create animation. The amount of time I've spent searching for very specific animations has been immense. Some of the tools that are available make it as simple as recording yourself performing the action, and some of them even work on a prompt. However, these haven't been proven to work well yet. Nuanced animations don't work as well, and some animations can look out of place and create the uncanny valley effect. If you're interested in this, I encourage you to check out this developer's workflow. And now the final category is testing and quality assurance. A lot of recent complaints about gaming is the lack of polish in major release. The lack of polish tends to be more forgivable in games made by solo devs, but it still persists. And there's a few AI tools that are looking to change that. Now, these tools are still mostly in a research state, but essentially there's some AI that'll just be a bot and play your game as if it were the player. Then it'll generate reports when it gets stuck or find bugs. While this is absolutely fascinating and does seem promising, I don't see it working well with the process flow of a solo game developer. This is all like speculation, but I think it'll become another system that you have to set up and build out an API that exposes some key information to it, and then maintain it and monitor it as your code goes, which is just an enormous task for a solo game developer. So I don't know if I'd even bother with it, but it is great that all these tools exist. But are they actually being used? Are solo developers adopting them into their workflows? And from what I've seen, yes, but there's definitely a range when it comes to how it's being used. I think most people are approaching it with healthy skepticism. They appreciate that it compensates for missing expertise, that it can help with coding and art creation, music composition, and all these like highly skilled things that you need to make a game. They also appreciate that it offers financial relief and reduces the cost of getting something working on a limited budget. And in theory, it lowers traditional barriers and costs associated with making games. This enables developers that have unique visions in very small niches to explore with less risk, allowing for a wider range of games. People who don't usually have time or resources or skills to make a game are getting stuff done and released, and that's really cool. And I'm talking like people with disabilities or serious time constraints, which I totally understand as a dad to a 1-year-old myself. But anyway, these people are able to like work on their dream projects, which is genuinely a good thing. But it's also important to mention that I didn't find anyone who recommends like fully vibe coding a game. Most developers acknowledge that using finalized assets generated by AI just isn't a good idea and leads to a bad overall project. However, there seems to be a happy medium emerging here. People have been more willing to accept AI-assisted workflows, meaning AI does the initial bulk of work to get to a starting point, then the artist or developer cleans it up. I think this is good because a lot of AI work is criticized as looking bland or feeling soulless. So this approach works well because it takes a lot of the work off of the solo game dev while also giving them the opportunity to re-add the human touch to projects where AI has worked. So at this point, I think it's safe to say that AI is making its way into solo game dev, and people are adapting to the changes it's causing. From the games that I looked at while preparing this video, and this is from developers that were open about the amount of AI they used in their games, the more AI that was used, the less it looked like a product I personally would buy. But there's a lot of variables that go into that. It might not just be the fact that AI was there. But I also have to say, there was a surprising amount of people that showed support for these games. As far as what's next, it's only a matter of time until AI is integrated into Engine. In fact, I got access to a closed beta for an AI that runs within Unreal Engine 5. If you want to see my first time using it and my initial thoughts about it, check out this video. Peace.